Okay, we will go ahead and call to order the Sikeston R6 Board of Education work session. And first, we will need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'd be happy to make that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? We've approved the agenda. We don't have any public comments tonight, so we can...
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Perfect. So I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? And now we will call to order the monthly board meeting of the Sikeston R6 Board of Education. And I'll need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll roll. I'll do it.
Have a second? Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Tom, we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, we would go right into the recognition part of the agenda, which is graphic arts Pink Out donation. Ms. Hollifield?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Moving so fast, I got lost. You do it now.
Good afternoon. Tonight we're going to recognize a group of students. These are graphic art students out of our Career and Tech Center. They actually designed pink t-shirts and sold them for a pink out game during our football season for the month of October, breast cancer awareness. They actually raised $4,430, which they then donated the proceeds to the Missouri Delta Medical Center Foundation's Women's Imaging Center. This was to assist in the battle against breast cancer. These students did a great job. They actually designed the shirts, made the shirts, sold the shirts, so they were a part of this process from the beginning to the end. So tonight we're going to recognize some of these. The first one, Katie Basinger, right here. Alexis Boyd, Taylor Ellison, Aaliyah Fobbs, Tesla Gadberry, Alexis Lambert, Ashley Owen, Madison Walker, Ellie Witten, Anna Williams, Ashley Wren, and the sponsor is Mr. Brian Henson. You can see a couple of the young ladies here have the shirt on that they actually designed. Yeah, we really appreciate your hard work and your thinking of giving back to our community, and I'm sure that the ladies at the Imaging Center were very grateful for your hard work. Thank you all.
Okay.
All right, next we have under informational is the Focus Accountability Plan update. I have Ms. Jordan and Ms. Hartzog, Ms. Banksley. Anyone else back there?
I am going to pass this one sheet around, and then I have another that I'm actually just going to speak from. But what I have for you first are just some very preliminary math results. Preliminary because we just have a very short amount, or a very small amount of information that's been made available to us thus far. So what I have are, what I'm going to be giving you first are the total percentages for our just total scores everybody accounted for in 3rd and 4th grade that took the math last year. And then I'm going to go over the sheet that's in front of you. For third grade in ELA, we were down 9.3%. We were down to 38.2% of our students scoring proficient advanced. And in fourth grade in ELA, we were actually up 4.8% for our total student population in ELA. Math, our third graders last year were down 14%, and this year, or last year's fourth graders were down 2.3%. With all that being said, if you look at the document in front of you, this is what's called our supporting data. This is a document that Jesse normally provides to us. They have not provided this to us yet, so I did the calculations on my own. But if you look at this, what happens is, just to refer you back to sort of how you become identified as a focused school, is when you have less than 30% of your students scoring proficient advanced, but they only look at your super subgroup totals, okay? For Southeast, we're at 80% free and reduced lunch rate, so we have 80% of our student population that falls into that super subgroup. So to get out of that identification, you have to improve your MAP scores, and that is the one and only measurement that they look at. You have to improve your MAP scores and then maintain those improvements for 3 consecutive years to then lose that identification. So last year was the first year that we had hit our exit criteria. We were at 30.7% last year with advanced, proficient advanced in both subgroups, both grade levels. This year, if you will look at the 2016 data, we went from 41.3% proficient advanced in ELA to 41.7%, so we had just a slight increase there. And then we went from 25.7 to 22.5% in math. But if you look at the end results, the 3-year cumulative, because you have to average the last 3 years no matter what to get your cumulative data, okay? Which means that we went down in ELA 3.4% in that super subgroup and up actually in math 3.4%. So we were at 30.7% again, which means by all measures last year we did hit year 2 of the exit criteria. We've not been told that yet by DESE because DESE doesn't have any information for us as of yet. If they don't change the measure, then we did hit the year 2 exit criteria. With it being a different assessment, we don't know if they're going to change their measures or not, or their calculation. So just based off of the same way it was calculated last year, we should hit the second year exit criteria this year. Lots of fingers and toes crossed.
Questions?
So if you hit the exit criteria, then are you no longer a focus school?
No, we have to
3
hit it
years.
one more year.
You got
You
one
have to maintain it for 3 consecutive years.
Okay.
So if at any time your scores then fall below that 30%, you're re-identified, and then you still have to maintain it 3 consecutive years after that. So if we don't
So
hit
1
it-
year could put you back 3.
Right. Exactly. Has to be 3 consecutive years.
Okay, I'm really confused, okay, because your 3-year cumulative total is 25.8 in math and 35.5 in ELA,
Correct.
right? You're saying that you have to be above 30%.
You average those 2. Because
Average-
ELA
This is the
math-
3-year total, so what are you averaging?
You add those together and you divide by 2.
Add what together?
The 2.
35.5 and 25.8.
For both the ELA
Yes,
and math
because it's a combined
of those 2?
proficiency
Okay.
score. Yes.
So when you do that, what did you get?
The 30.7%.
Harry, chinny, chin, chin, but
No kidding. And like I say, we don't have any guidance from DESE yet. We don't have our IDD reports yet that tell us skill-wise or content-wise specifically where our weaknesses and strengths are with the math data from last year. So This is just literally going off of the reports that are available to us right now.
Are your fourth graders carrying your third graders? Does it seem like you have bigger dips in third grade? Or did I hear?
Last year's third graders, this year's fourth graders are definitely academically our lowest group.
So you see that as a class?
Yes, we've seen that historically.
This year's
Yes.
fourth grader?
Interterminal and intermatic, yes. This year's fourth graders. Which I'm trying not to talk too much because part of the information too is gonna be in their, academic report in a little bit, but
We were talking earlier, and this is part of our academic report, but that group of kids, those third graders last year, they're now our fourth graders this year. They're a very high sped grade level. So currently we have 2 sped teachers at Southeast. We have one of those teachers that case manages fourth grade only, which is that group we're talking about, and the other one case manages for second and third. And that's divided out by numbers of sped kids because they, try to split their caseloads. So if you can think of it in those kind of terms, that third grade group last year, which is now our fourth graders, has a high number of special ed identified children who are taking the same assessments.
Is that at every school or more specifically at your school?
I think we all probably have similar issues like that. It just so happens that grade level for us has historically been the one
We don't
with the most academic challenges.
And in other years, they've been split more evenly with the grade groups. So happen that particular class has such a high number of caseload.
And I don't at all want it to appear like we're, because we can go on for days about the challenges that we do have. I think that, we've looked at a lot of really sort of getting back to the basics and, how do we begin to involve the parents, or is that really, some of our kids, even we've had to really look even further outside that box because we know, we're not going to get the parent support that child needs for their education. So I think a lot of the things that we have put into place, we've tried to lay the groundwork for these kids to get the supports that they need, but so it's just chipping away at
Change
the
takes
mountain, so
time,
to speak.
but the people that we've met with, our DESE representative, and then the PLC from the RPDC, she came down this week, and they're all very happy with the progress that we've made. It's just a slow shift to change. So.
And for a lot of other schools that are identified focus schools, their super subgroups are a much smaller percentage.
That seems like a high.
So not a subgroup in our school.
Yeah,
right.
it's 80% of our student population. So whereas in a lot of schools, when they add up there are 5 groups that make up that, or used to make up that super subgroup. But for a lot of other schools, that might be 30% of their student population. So I mean, it really is chipping away at a mountain. I mean, we really try to get hard and heavy with our staff about how we can't make excuses. We just got to come up with solutions. So I know we've done a lot of that, but it's, we didn't get to 80% for every lunch overnight, and we're not going to get to be a blue ribbon school in a school year. So, a lot of change, and a lot of change that's not only building based, but a lot of change needed in the community and needed in home environments and lots of different pieces to the puzzle.
Do you know when DESE is going to come out with the information you're needing? Because, wouldn't it be really, really helpful to see specifically what areas you need? And then, so what's the purpose of putting somebody on the focus accountability list if you can't even know what you need to do to get out of it and help your students? Isn't that crazy?
It is, and I don't remember when we got it last year. I know we didn't get notified of it. We just basically have to keep checking until you notice it there,
Forever.
the report. But it seemed like it was.
They don't send an email and say, hey, it's up. You just have to keep checking things. And like now the IBD report is now there, just so you know. But you wouldn't know that because they don't tell anybody. You just have to kind of go searching for it. And it's just been there within the last few weeks. So it's relatively new, but you never know.
Ashley, do you have anything else to add? Or I'm looking, are we going to be mixing our
We're
informational signs?
Yeah, we're coming close. I can talk about some of our other, we were kind of going to do a building, all 3 of us academics, but as far as Southeast, I think that's a pretty good representation of where Southeast is academically. We've really been hitting hard with our RTI groups at Southeast, so those intervention groups and placing kids based on needs and trying to target those needs to be able to move our kids to that proficient and advanced level. And one thing that we just started doing is put our veteran teachers into some of those lower RTI groups. And so those teachers are going to be teaching those lower kids when historically that was usually kind of a status thing. They got to teach the higher level kids. And so we know research indicates that we need veteran teachers in those roles teaching those kids with the highest needs. So we've implemented that this year. We're going to restructure those groups, and so we don't have the brand new ones with our highest needs.
Do you have anything else to add to, I think we're mixing two parts of our agenda here, so.
Well, I have the focus, plan for a presentation for that, and then together we kind of have a presentation. First of all, I did not.
Does anybody have any questions for Ashley and Alicia?
Well, I think,
Southeast.
I've got one, but I think after Ms. Hartog, I think it'll pick up also.
Okay.
After I speak, all three of the academic leaders will come up here and we'll present the academic part to you, but that's okay. I did not print out the focus school supporting data because Desi has not updated it. I did do my own math, but I'm not trusting enough of myself to give that to you. I will tell you based on the numbers that I have gotten, our exit target is 29.9%, and we are sitting at 29.75%. Now, I am discouraged, I am disappointed, however, this was our first year. We've already started lots of new things to try to work to help, as a team, solve this. It is an ongoing concern. I will tell you that, based on our scores, if it had just been about ELA, we would have made the exit criteria. Math was a little short of that. So, 29.75, and we have to be at 29.9. So we've got a little work to do with that. I'm not going to present the math data because, like I said, it's not out there just yet, and I want to wait and get the stuff from Desi before I present that. But I'm just, based on what I can tell so far, I don't think we're going to make the exit criteria. Now, as far as what else is going on in the building, we are continuing with our PLC project. We have created a mission and a vision statement as a group. We are continuing to have those PLC leadership team meetings every 2 weeks. We are divulging that information to everybody in the building by way of the committee members, the leadership team. We discuss things, they take it up to the grade levels, the title, whatever group they belong to, they go, they get information, they bring it back. It seems to work quite well. And we're continuing that process. We continue to have common plan times, we have common grades, we have CFAs, benchmarks. We're continuing to do all the things that we've been doing, and just, every bit along the way when we look for things to grow and learn and improve. We've been visited by the PLC representative from CMO also, and she's been very encouraging to us also. So that's pretty much my report.
Questions?
So, to either one of y'all, what have you found that's worked, and maybe what did you hope would work hasn't?
Oh gosh. I think that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I don't, it's not that I know the answer, but.
I told Ms. Hinckley just earlier this afternoon that really, had it not been for PLC, I wouldn't know near what I do today or right now, even not as the academic leader anymore, but I wouldn't know what I know about our schools, our students' needs, their strengths, and their weaknesses, had it not been for PLC. Just because I didn't feel like we ever had a solid ground for how we looked at the data. We assessed a lot. We had a lot of numbers, but we just didn't really know fully what to do with it, with all that information. And I think that PLC, for me last year, because last year was a lot about assessment and about the data team process and all those things. And had it not been for the PLC training, I don't feel like we wouldn't have even been able to implement the things we did last year with our RTI groups. And the teachers, I think, have a lot better handle on where their kids are at. And the teachers are getting better at meeting the kids where they're at, as opposed to just teaching to one group and expecting them to get it.
I would agree.
I do feel like, PBIS, I think it's still a little too early. I think that we still have a lot of work to do with PBIS. But if it, the whole point of doing PBIS is to get your discipline under control so that there's more time spent on teaching and learning and less time on discipline. Again, that goes back to the things we do with PBIS is a bit different than in other districts just because of, sometimes the level of disrespect coming from some of the homes that
It's a
our
challenge.
kids come to. It's a challenge, and it's a different challenge, and so when you go to those trainings, sometimes you have to think outside the box, and so I don't want to say that's something that's not worked, but it's something that seems to have worked maybe more efficiently and maybe quicker in other districts, and it's taken a bit longer in our building. I can't speak for all buildings, but just southeast, that's something
Well,
that.
PLC definitely has been, already, granted, this is just our first year, we just started in July, but that first in-service, first PD day that we went to at SEMO, it was the best PD I've gotten, I think, since I began being a principal, so it was very encouraging. One of the things that they talked about last week, I went to a PLC administrators training, and they talked about initiative exhaustion. And a lot of times, schools that are struggling, we get on board with every initiative that comes our way. If there's grant money attached to it, yeah, let's do it. And I think, looking back, I think I've done a lot of that at Matthews. I wanted so deeply to have us improve that, yeah, let's do that, yeah, let's do that. But you get so many things going, and you can't do anything as well as you could if you didn't have so much going at the same time. And PLC, with them, they take every component of what we have and they kind of help us put everything in its place and tell you how to take that and move forward with it. And that's what I really like about the PLC project, is that it takes PBIS, it takes the CW grant, it takes everything that we do and kind of gives us a reason as to why we're doing it and how it fits in the big picture.
What percentage, since Southeast or Super Subgroup's 80%, what's math?
76, around 76%, so right, real close.
What's Leader?
63, 64?
64.
So do you all have somebody is there somebody that comes in from DESE or somewhere else that's guiding you all, that's giving you all suggestions, or are they telling you this is what you need to do?
We have Dr. Ken Jackson that comes in, well, not monthly, until this year he came in monthly to meet with me, and this year he's been meeting with Ms. Taxley, so they've changed he doesn't come monthly anymore, but.
He has so many schools now, he can't come monthly.
I'm just gonna be flat out honest. He doesn't generally come in with a ton of ideas, and right now, when Ashley met with him last time, she asked him if he knew yet, if we met year two, and he told her that we probably had more information than what he has. So, that's not his fault.
No.
He's
The
he finds
Southeast
out
regional person, so
He did have a document
from
that-
DESE.
from Desi.
And he comes in and works with focus schools? Is that his job?
Yes, he
Part of
comes
his
in and
job.
basically. we
And he's
report to
representative of
him.
Southeast Missouri, so not only just the focus schools, but wears many hats, I guess, within this region.
And we, literally, all we do is report to him the same that we're reporting to you right now and tell him what all we've done.
We keep a running record every month that we have to submit to him, and then when he comes in, he asks about different things, and, he gives us suggestions on, he does give some suggestions. They're not the holy grail of suggestions. It's not like he can solve this. If anybody had the answer, it would have already been given. He did have a spreadsheet last time that had all the area schools that he works with and what curriculum they use and just different initiatives that they're part of. They kind of let us see what everyone else is doing. And then I asked him, he's had one school out of all of them that got out. Initially, what was it? You had to
25%
Yeah.
was
Instead of 3%,
first
it had to be 25%. And so there was one school that actually got out of it, and I asked him what they did. It was a really small school, and they didn't have a curriculum, and they didn't have consistent materials, they didn't have pacing, they didn't have all these things that we already have. So that, like, I was just writing down all these notes thinking that it was gonna be the secret, and then when I got finished, we are doing everything that they were doing. So you know, this problem is not real simple to solve. It's multifaceted, but we are trying.
I think Ken's main purpose is,
I'm
is,
sorry.
that's okay. I think his main purpose is really to make sure these schools are doing something, rather than telling them what to do, making sure not just sitting back and doing nothing. That's why he asked for the running record. He wants to see what's going on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you. Let's turn it back over to the 3 elementary administrators for the school achievement update. And we have the academic leaders from the 3 buildings. That will be presenting that information.
Sure. Let me get, there we go. District-wide. This data is from Desi, so you don't have to worry about my math. We're gonna believe me on this one.
Thank you.
I don't care, you're turning me out. I need to copy something. I know. Okay, looking at 3rd grade in ELA, in 2016, we went up 6.9%. District-wide for 3rd grade. In math in 3rd grade, we went down 4.5%. Then in 4th grade, you see that we went up 9.3% in ELA in 2016, and then in math, we went down 0.2%. And looking at this data and looking at our individual data, we saw some discrepancies, we saw some differences, and among us, you know, we talked about the practices that we had been doing in the building and try to see if there were any, you know, what were we doing that was different from somebody else? What were we doing that was alike? So for the purpose of this, you know, each building has unique practices, but for this presentation, we decided to share some of the things that we all do, and then we can kind of go from there based on what your need is.
And after looking at the data, we realized that Lee Hunter was higher than our 2 buildings. We wanted to collaborate with Liz to see what they did differently, you know, is there anything we can try next year. So Liz is going to talk about a couple of things that she talked to us about last week that we're implementing.
Okay, a couple things that we did that I think really made a huge difference this past year was we took advantage of the universal tools that were available through DESE. And the universal tools that we used, for example, were alternate setting and also read aloud for math.
Liz, can you explain that was during math testing?
I'm sorry.
I don't know if they know for sure what you're.
Sorry, during math testing, let's go back, rewind.
And you can use universal tools throughout the year.
You can.
And actually, they want you to.
As far as like we were talking about like the testing, you were saying how there was a discrepancy.
Sure.
That a couple things that we did that I think that really helped bump our scores were the implementation of the universal tools, which were students that, for one thing, this isn't something we did 2nd semester. We worked with it at the beginning and all throughout. And we had title teachers, classroom teachers, and reading coach myself. We really looked at the needs of each of the students to see who could benefit from this. Well, when we were done, we compiled a list and we went through students that we thought could benefit from alternate setting, because we have, as we all know, we have a lot of kids that have attention deficit issues. And it's not that they don't have the ability to do well, it's just that when they're in a large group, it's hard for them to focus. So giving some of these kids an alternate setting was beneficial. And another one was as far as math. We're testing to see if the kids understand math, if they can show their understanding for it. Not that they can read it, can they understand it? So that was another one of the tools that we used, was students that were low in reading, but they had the math capability. And pulling those kids, like the title teachers, having them like in a small setting and reading the test, the math like questions aloud. Now reading, you cannot do it for reading because you're testing for reading, but you could for math. And that was something, like I said, that we worked on all throughout the year. Something else that I think really helped was we took advantage of the whole testing window. Instead of, say, getting finished with the map test within a 2-week period, we actually spent 6 weeks with it. So we tested in the morning time, and most of the students, usually we didn't test more than an hour and a half length. And no 2 students tested like Monday, Tuesday. It was like, whoever tested Monday, tested Wednesday, whoever tested Thursday. And the reason why we spread it out for one thing was to help with the stress of the kids. And also when we did that, the teachers could continue on teaching. So, until we got to the very, very end of that.
And we also use universal tools. We didn't use them, I don't think it's widespread. The directive from DESE was vague at best, and so, the interpretation was kind of left to us. And my thought was, if they weren't doing it steadily through the year, then I couldn't justify using that tool just for the test. I didn't know that that was ethical or not. So we basically just used it with those who were being pulled for small group, or were having their tests spread to them in mass, all along. And that, so this year we're going to do, I think I've given them 3 copies of the universal tools already this year. We've talked about it. We've talked about it as a whole building. We've talked about it at grade level meetings. We're really paying attention to that and what we can do to best meet the needs of the kids. Not just at the end of the year or during the math, but what can we do, what can we use all year to best meet the needs.
In our building, we're having monthly meetings with those teachers to see what tools they are using, so we know that we're helping kids best we can. Another thing I liked what Liz shared with us is they only tested in the morning, and we know we're all fresher in the morning. So last year at Southeast, we tested morning and afternoon. Not the same kids, but we did test kids a session in the afternoon. So we're going to look at next year going to, if we can get it all fitted into our schedule, just testing morning, because I'm fresher in the morning, so I know our little kids are.
And once these students were identified too, we practiced with them. If it was like reading aloud your math, then we practiced with that to see if it was beneficial or not. We've already started actually doing that right now with our math scores. I've learned that with title. We still have a lot more collaborating to do, but we're already starting to identifying some kids. Now we're going to have to narrow that down, but we're already thinking ahead for that.
Is there a limit on the number of kids you can do that?
No.
No, it's not like.
Of course, you're not going to have open 60.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the other things our buildings are doing, not just
All
math
together.
testing,
We
but
also
just
use, right,
the academic things.
testing, and we have the implementation of the Eureka Math, which this is the first year that everyone's using it since we've adopted the Everyday Math series. And what I say? Everyday. Sorry, the Eureka Math series. So far so good. I think it's going well. Our 4th grade did departmentalize last year, so we have 2 teachers that are teaching the ELA and 2 teachers that are teaching the math. And it looks like I see an advantage in the scores I thought were pretty good this year. So
The high order thinking questions, which aligns to our standards. So.
right. We're also, I think most everyone is starting to utilize, it's a Zern. It's a web-based program, and it's aligned with the Eureka. So when you're teaching the lessons and the modules, it goes along with it. And we have, is Megan still here? She's Megan. I think of Megan, she teaches 2nd grade, and I know that Beth McLemore's doing it too. But it's one of those things where you have kids, like 10 kids or so, having many iPads that you have, and they're working on the lessons at their seat. And while they're doing that, then the teacher's in the back with the rest of the kids, and they're working using like either their paper, they're using manipulatives, they're using their whiteboards, and then after a certain period of time, then they switch, which I think is unlike what I see.
And it progresses the kids on the kids' level.
It does.
So
So
we video game, but.
So if you have like a student, they can actually work ahead. So if they already have it, they've already got it, say you're on module 2, lesson 5, and they already have that, they can work at their own speed, they can keep on going, which is good. One more thing that we're all doing is the care team at something that we started implementing this year. Basically, and I know all the buildings are doing it somewhat differently. What we're doing, the way we're doing it right now, and it may change because this is new, and we're just trying, it's trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. But right now, what we're doing is, if there's a teacher that is concerned with a student as far as like academically, then they come to me, they email me the name, and then I set up a meeting. I have teachers that have volunteered to be on this team, so we meet at 7:30 in the morning, and I try to rotate it around to, so not everyone's always meeting at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesday. But anyway, when I get the name, I schedule a care team meeting, and there's papers that they fill out, and there's documentation that they bring along with them. They have they have records as far as like from the nurse and from the speech, to see if there's anything with that. Teachers bring along their grades. Just any information that they can get, and they tell us, we talk about like intervention strategies they are using in the classroom. To me, when I look at it is good, what I think is really good about it is the support, because I know when I was in the classroom, I know what it's like sometimes to feel like you're by yourself. You try everything possible with these kids, and there's like, what else can I do? I feel like I'm out of strategies, but I feel like getting together as a group, we can talk about it, and maybe someone else, which we've already had really good success with, it's like, well, have you tried this? What do you think about that? So to me, it's a good support networking for the teacher as well as the students. And then we talk about the interventions, and we have them meeting back like in 3 weeks to discuss how it's going, and then we meet again in 6 weeks to talk about that as well. But that is something that we're doing, and I feel good about that too.
My part is for ELA, our buildings are all kind of at different spots with ELA. Some teachers are using Engage, some people are using our own building curriculum that we've developed, and so teachers really have a choice. It's very local controlled. They kind of choose what they want to use right now. We're seeing a lot of success. The teachers who are using Engage or the materials are all there kind of for them and all ready to go. It's just laid out for them, so a lot of our teachers really like that are using it. Other teachers are using like Southeast has a building curriculum, and we have hyperlinked things, resources for them, because that's always the complaint. If there's not a textbook or something, teachers finding those resources is very difficult. So that's kind of where we're at with ELA right now in all 3 of the buildings. We all 3 have community partnerships with churches where we're doing after-school programs, and that has been really beneficial to interact with the community, build those relationships with the kids and our community members. And I think the kids have really, at least I know our building, they've really gained a lot from those volunteers. So we just need more volunteers, but it's a great program. We all do A+ tutoring. That's where high school kids come and help tutor kids who are in need, and it works well for the high school kids to get those A+ hours, as well as for our little ones that need extra help. And we've all had very successful parent nights this school year so far. We've all done large events and small instructional nights. I know our Southeast picnic, we had over 400 people in attendance at that event. So try to get in the community involved.
We also all have common plan time, grade level collaboration, at least one per week. We'd like to have more possibility in the future, but for now we have one. We all use a 1st through 3rd grade writing program to some extent. Some of us use it to supplement the Engage if they're using Engage. Again, there's a lot of flexibility, but we are all using some components of that. We all have benchmark data analysis meetings. We all take the same math benchmarks, so that's consistent. And we all have title services as well. That concludes our presentation. Are there any questions?
Are there any, if you could do anything you wanted to do, resource-wise, is there anything in particular that you go, man, I wish we could do this because there's nobody to
Yes. We need more technology. We need more special class teachers. We need a more consistent schedule. Our schedule, 1st graders might have special class first thing in the morning on Monday, middle of the day on Tuesday. Thursday they have it back in the afternoon. It's really inconsistent. I wish that we could have common plan times. The teachers have one common plan time, and unfortunately, like this year, for example, 2nd grade, one grade level always gets left out, and they have only one common plan time, and it's on a Monday. Well, you know how many Mondays we miss. But that was the only day possible, because we borrow special class teachers from each other. We all share them. And, you know, you can have the best schedule planned out in your mind, but it's just not feasible when you have to share people throughout the district. So that's one of the first things that I would wish for, if we could have that more consistent scheduling, but that would require employing more special class teachers.
We
and
share
computers.
teachers from the alternative center, we share from kindergarten, we share from all 3 buildings just to make it work. And it's very hard then to come up with a collaboration schedule where our teachers can meet more than once a week. And that is where when they talk about the PLC process and academic growth, I mean, that's vital to that component. And we worked really hard the past couple of years trying to get more collaboration time, but if we don't have the manpower to do that, the only day I have 4 teachers in the building to take all 4 classes at the same time is on a Monday morning. So I'm really limited on that.
You're talking about music,
Yes, ma'am.
PE,
Yes.
art.
So the teachers collaborate when those kids go to PE, library, art, and music. So if I could have a teacher, a PE and art and music and a teacher, and then all my teachers could talk at that time, it would be really great. But I don't have that all the time every day because of the way we share with the other buildings.
It makes it really hard on the teachers because there's so many things they need to collaborate about. They need to collaborate about their curriculum. They need to collaborate about their grades. They need to collaborate about the benchmark results. They need to collaborate about what they're getting ready to teach and how they're going to teach it. And they don't have a lot of time all together to do that.
You also said technology, what specifically?
We need computers, we need laptops or something, and now with the focus money, if it goes through, it did get approved, but I'm gonna purchase Chromebooks, actually 2 carts of them, hopefully, because that is an issue when the technology doesn't work. We either have the batteries, we kept buying these batteries, but even the battery replacements, they wear out, these computers are old. So that we just don't have, we got rid of the computer lab several years ago.
Well, without computer labs now, it's gonna be it's gonna get harder and harder for us to deliver that assessment over the course of that entire window, because when you don't have a computer lab, then you have to take up your library and your art and music room, which pushes those classes into the classrooms during that 4 or 6 week period. So it's just.
Well, we did it in the classrooms. You have computers plugged into every outlet, and you have an extension cord going across the hall because you're out of outlets and you're hoping that nothing blows. I mean, it seriously is an issue. It's right. And you can only, not only do you have to figure out how to share one set of computers, but you also have to know that you can't have this number working in this room and right next door. You have to make sure that it's one down here and one down there, because if they're too close, they'll never happen, you'll blow a fuse. So it's a lot of issues like that.
And not having a computer lab, the kids are not exposed to that all the time throughout the year. I mean, we're at the mercy of teachers pulling laptops and looking at these old batteries, and so then we expect them to test in the spring, and they're not used to it. I mean, our teachers do a pretty good job of using it in the classroom, but it's.
So are you saying you need more technology just for the assessment?
No.
I mean,
technology.
So what do you need, what would more technology do? You're saying you're going to order more Chromebooks and stuff. What would that do? What are you thinking that would do to help your kids?
Well, I think it is,
Go ahead.
as far as like the web-based programs, with fluency, like extra math and
Zern, research
like
projects.
The teachers are sharing, as far as like we have the iPads, so they're able to even get enough together where they can use the Zern program in their class. So they're, maybe taking 2 from this class, 2 from that, just to get enough, and they're switching them around.
What is the ZERN, forgive me, the ZERN program?
There are so many programs out there, and Zern specifically, it's set up, the kids think it's like a play game. They think it's like a video game, it's got little graphics, but it's their math concepts that they're supposed to be learning. And it can progress them, if they're lower, then they can work at that lower, but the higher kids can work higher and be, get more development. So there are reading programs like that as well. And so kids love it, and they're learning very quickly on those items. It also allows teachers then to meet with a small group of kids. I mean, of course, she's monitoring, and we have filters on our technology, but then she can meet with a small group of kids and work on specific skills too.
So it helps your teacher be more efficient.
Yes,
It keeps
Zern
aligned
is
with our math.
Child
It's
is doing.
aligned with Eureka Math.
And it gives the teacher reports on what, where she needs to teach, what skill is missing.
So they're not just diddling around.
Exactly.
No.
Very
Yeah.
specific.
learning. You're so engaged.
And now also one of the expectations is typing, or being able to type up. I think that's in like, what, second grade? Is it second grade or? So, if they're not exposed to keyboards, then they're not going to be able to meet that expectation.
So if you have a iPad or something that's not a laptop, isn't that, I think it's harder to type on an iPad. I can't type on an
I
iPad.
have to have an iPad because
I have to have
it. Yeah, I agree with that.
And
I'm just saying, so
That's
like
why
if you
I got
had
Chromebooks,
10,
because we could utilize it for more things. I mean, and I love iPads, I really do. We already have a cart of iPads, and I felt like for the needs,
is Chromebook, is that a laptop?
Yeah, it's a mini
It's
laptop.
like a mini laptop.
So are you saying like if you had 10 Chromebooks per room?
Oh, that'd be heaven.
Or like how many, like when you divide in small groups, what do you have, like 6 kids in each group, or 5 or 4? Or about 10?
It depends, yeah.
So if you had like 5 in each classroom, are you saying that would, is that a
That would be a
benefit?
starting point.
Yeah.
It would.
I mean, you're wanting it for like the supplemental, like when you're in like your stations and different things like that. Is that what you're
And then the
saying?
teachers could also share a new whole group like activity where they were learning the typing, just type of skills.
Can I just throw one more thing out?
She wants to. How bad?
We had unlimited dollars, and I'm just, used to back in the day, we did after school tutoring, and we discontinued it for, various reasons, I wasn't necessarily, but we need an intensive after-school tutoring program.
I thought you had that with the kids coming over like from, with A+ and all that.
That's
We
A+,
do, but it's
but that's
limited to a
just,
few kids.
we have like 2 students.
Are you talking about teachers after school?
Yes, I'm talking about certified people, and, it's not even necessarily certified instructors, but thinking about the reading recovery program that's in, of course.
I think of what you're referring to is something that would fall in line under the 21st century grant.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because that keys heavily on the after-school program, the tutoring, all sorts of activities that would fall in line with what our kids need.
Yes.
That's a Monday through Thursday type program. It would give our kids plenty of opportunities. It would give our community opportunities to come in and help with that as well, because that's what it is. So,
Well, can't you do that, but can't you set that up yourself at each school for career ladder?
Well,
I mean, can't
but
that?
you only have half the hours,
It's career ladder.
so you only have half the hours, so you wouldn't get as much with that.
There's only a certain number of them are student contact hours.
Right.
And so that's not going to last just a real long time. And we do have that. We absolutely do. It's just, the problem is that it doesn't last the whole year. They do their contact hours and that's over.
The other question I had kind of ties into that is, I don't remember, maybe we used to have parent liaisons at every school, and we had to cut those for budgetary purposes. And actually, someone mentioned that to me a couple of weeks ago and said, we should have parent liaisons back. I don't know what your thoughts are on those. Is that something that you felt
If money was
really?
no object,
Did you get the bang for the buck of the parent liaison? I guess.
I wasn't.
You did.
Yeah, the only two that may have been here would have been Liz and Alicia.
and we have missed her.
It just seemed like a successful program.
Now, our at-risk assistant,
No.
we had her with our focus hours. She's fulfilled, she's not, really, we use her a lot in that capacity, but it's more targeted. When Ms. Engel was there as a parent liaison, her service was available to any child in the building and teacher, whereas Ms. Chandra just solely works with her targeted population of students.
But they weren't providing curriculum assistance specifically.
No,
They were just,
Yeah.
they were just helping to meet the needs of the kids in school and the,
I remember the parent liaison did a lot of, as far as like helping with attendance, which when it came back and forth with parents, find out what's going on. I remember a lot of that. There was a lot of communication they had with parents at the school. That's kind of technology.
They helped with the attendance at the parent-teacher conference.
I don't remember at the parent-teacher conference, but I do remember like when we had our attendance and kids report like this morning, They were on the phone, they making phone calls, and they really worked with the schools. and the
Some of
whole-
them actually set up transportation for families
Yeah, they
that
did.
couldn't make it into those
That
teacher
is true.
trainings.
That is true.
And now our school secretary does that.
Is that right?
Well, that's great info. I mean, maybe certain things, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, moving into the annual APR report. I think a lot of you probably read the newspapers and noticed that some of the area schools have been highlighted around here for getting perfect scores on the APR. Although we did not, I think our improvements are tremendous. And I'm going to let Chuck touch on that and run with it.
Okay. I'm going to try to go through this one page at a time. If you have questions, you can ask me anytime. If you want to wait till the end of the time, but if you want to ask me in the middle of the presentation, feel free. I'm on the first page of what you have, and the first page is just an overall review of our APR information. It does say on the first page embargoed until November 7th. Of course, this is November 8th, so this is no longer embargoed, which means that we're free to talk about it within what we want. The total APR score for 2016 has risen from 108 the previous year to 113.5. If you look at the bottom of that page too, it does have the ACT information as well. That's really there more as a courtesy. It does not calculate any more into APR as it has in the past. But I thought that might confuse you being as it's on the first page. Now I'm going to skip to the second. The second page gives an overview or gives, I guess, more of a specific as far as the points for each area for APR. I think if you look there too, you can see that our most points came in math. We would hope that it would, since that's been a focus the last few years. But we did have 15 out of 16 points there, and I'm going to go into that further as we go along. So I'm going to the next page, which just is an explanation of different points, and I want to go to the next page, which has 2016 LEA Annual Performance Report Preview at the top, and it's got all the boxes and things if that's what you're looking at. Okay. First of all, just a refresher, if you've noticed a recurring theme with anything with DESE, everything seems to be based on a 3-year average or 3 years of data, and all APR data is based on 3 years of data. The academic achievement specifically is based on MPI or Math Performance Index. And just to remind you, if you're looking at a specific area, to calculate the Math Performance Index, you multiply the percentage of students scoring, for example, advanced by 5, proficient by 4, basic by 3, below basic by 1, then you add those together and that gives your Math Performance Index. So looking at the chart below, in ELA you'll see we scored 9 of 16 points based on our status MPI score of 312.9. There's a chart we can look at, it tells us how many points we received from various overall scores. The 312.9 is considered approaching, and again, that gives us 9 points. We didn't receive any progress, or I used to call it improvement points. That's basically what progress is. Since our rolling average between year 1 and 2 and year 2 and 3 did not show improvement, so we didn't receive any points. We received 9 total points for ELA. Now, if you look at the bottom of the ELA part, you'll see total points earned 2016. It says 9 of 16 points. Below that, you'll see total points earned 2015, and a repeat of that. The reason you have that in ELA and math is because every district in Missouri is hold harmless in ELA and math for the past 2 years. And the reason is because we've had new assessments. Remember, this year was our 3rd new assessment in a row. And because of that, because you're using different scores and such, they allow you to count, DESE does, the highest score for ELA and math from the previous 3 years this year. We didn't have to use that because our 2015 points were the same as our 2016, so we didn't use any hold harmless points there. Okay, moving on to math. If you look at math, we scored 9 status points for math because of our 302.3 score. We did receive some progress points, 3 progress points for math, and then below that you'll see we received 6 growth points. Now you can't count progress and growth. You have to count one or the other. Since the growth was higher, we used the growth in our calculation, so the 9 plus 6 was 15. That's how we got our 15 points. I'm really pleased to see the growth. We've received this 2 years in a row. Remember, the growth is the progress is where you compare the students in, for example, 4th grade this year to the students in 4th grade last year. So you're comparing different kids. Growth is where you're comparing kids in 3rd grade to their same scores in 4th grade, or 4th grade to 5th grade. And then if the students are making enough progress, so if they continue making that progress, they'll achieve proficient by 7th or 8th grade, then we get growth points for those students. And we meant that in math. This is the 2nd year in a row. So I'm pleased that we received those points. Again, the hold harmless number was the same, so we didn't get any gain from our previous year's score, and that's where we got our 15 points for math. Let's see, for science, if you'll notice there, we had 9 status points for science. We didn't receive any progress points. In social studies, we earned 5 of 8 status points for social studies. If you're curious, we have less points available for social studies because we only have 1 assessment that makes up our social studies APR, that's government, and they don't count as much. We received 5 out of 8 for our status. For progress, we met the exceeding levels, so we received 6 points for that. Unfortunately, we can't add 5 and 6 together and count 11 because there's a maximum of 8 points for social studies, so 8's all we can count. I'll remind you too, the social studies, we were very close to the state average for social studies for government, so that was a pleasant thing to see this year. Okay, I'm going to move to the next page. Actually, it's under page of just data. But the next page I've got has our super subgroup information on it. It looks very much like the other page we had before. Just to remind you again, I know you don't have this every day, our super subgroup is comprised of free and reduced lunch students, African American students, Hispanic students, special education students, and ELL students. That's what comprises our super subgroup.
And the total percentage of that in the district is?
I don't have that percentage. I can get it for you. I'm going to guess, though, that we're around 70 to 75% of our
I
students.
thought I remembered it was.
I think I gave it to you last year.
I think
I didn't
so.
look at it this year, but it's an easy number to calculate. I can get it for you. Excuse me. For ELA, we did not receive any status points for ELA because our 3-year average MPI score was less than 300. 300 is considered the floor, and if you don't at least get 300 points, then you don't receive any status points for that. We also did not receive any progress points for our ELA and our subgroups, and so we actually had no points earned for our super subgroup for ELA. But remember I talked about the whole harmless. In 2014 we had 2 points, and we can use our highest of the 3 years. So we did get to use those 2 points from 2014 for ELA. In math, we also did not receive any status points because our score was below 300. We did have 1 progress point, so we would have received 1 point for our super subgroup in math, except in 2015 we received 3 points, so we were able to use those 3 points for our APR. Okay, we only have the whole. You look confused, Scott. No? Okay, keep going. Okay, we only have. Sorry.
You're right.
That's a normal look.
That's a normal look for Scott.
Deep in thought.
We only have hold harmless for ELA and math. In science, we did not receive any of our status points or any progress points, either for super subgroup. In social studies was a different story. We received 1 out of 2 points for our super subgroup because we had a score of 302.1. I will tell you that if you look across the state, schools with our demographics and our size struggle with having super subgroups that reach the floor and above. And so this is the first time that I can remember our super subgroup being above 300 in social studies. And so that was kind of exciting for us to have that group perform so well. And if you look, the 2016 score was actually 325. That average was 302. So that was a pleasant thing. Because of the improvement we made in social studies, even with the super subgroup, we received 1.5 super subgroup points for progress. You add them together, the maximum points is 2, and so that's what we received for social studies, for subgroups. Okay, I'm moving on to the college and readiness. The first measure I have on the page that has the college and career readiness is CCR 1 through 3. This percentage represents the percentage of points earned for students who scored an appropriate level on the ACT, SAT, Compass, and ASVAB test. Just to remind you, if they take the test, just take it, make any score, they receive 0.25 points. If they receive a score that's slightly below the minimum, they receive 0.75 points. If they meet the minimum score or the benchmark score, they receive 1 point. And if they exceed that, they receive 1.25 points. So you add those together and divide by the percentage of graduates, and that's how you get your percentage. If you notice on the status points, we earned 6 points for our status on CCR 1 through 3, based on our average of 59.5% of the points possible. We did not receive any progress points, and so we had a score of 6 points for that measure. Number 4, or CCR 4, is our advanced placement. Our advanced placement is a score of seniors who earn, sorry. Oh, I couldn't read my writing, I'm sorry. They earn, like, what's a or better? It's B or better. See, and I was like, Tom, I thought that was a number of it. It's students who earn a B or better in a dual enrollment, dual credit, or an AP or a TSA, which is a technical skills assessment course at SCTC. If they earn a B or better, then they receive points based on that. They also receive points on AP or the TSA, the technical skill assessment, if they earn a qualifying score, which is 3 or better on the AP test. And so we get actually 1.25 points for those. We earned 10 points in the advanced placement, which is the maximum number of points. We didn't have any progress points, mostly because we were already high there. And so again, we received the maximum number of points there. On CCR 5 and 6, that's our post-secondary placement. This is what Alan Cheater does, what Tiffany Morgan used to do before that. This is where Alan checks to do a follow-up with the graduates we had from the previous year. If the graduates are working in a field, they have a credible job, they are in college or they in the military, we count them as having met our goal of doing something productive after graduation. We received 7.5 status points for our measure on the CCR 5 and 6, and then 2 points for progress, which shows improvement, for a total of 9.5 points. And I will say this has been a source of good points for us because of the hard work that goes into that. I think everyone who's worked in that area has worked very hard to follow up those graduates. Okay, moving on. On attendance. Attendance is the percentage of students who score 90% or better. Let me back up on that. It's the percentage of students who are in attendance 90% of their enrolled time or better. We received 10 points for this measure. 91.6 of our students were in attendance 90% or more. That's the highest we've had. So that was a very nice thing to see. We received all 10 points for that. And then the graduation follow-up, the graduation rate. They calculate the graduation rate on a 4, 5, 6, and 7-year graduation rate. Either way you count it, we received all 30 points for that. And so that was a good thing. So basically that is our APR. I did include a summary sheet after, and I probably didn't have to because you already had that on one of your district reports. You will notice mine is slightly different because I included any of the hold harmless points we got from math and ELA on my summary sheet. And so that just kind of shows where those points came from. I also included, I know the board likes to see a comparison of our score to area districts, and I've got the same 10 districts I've been comparing this with. I also added, well, I added it last year, a comparison of districts who were somewhat like us in size and free and reduced lunch rate. I will tell you, and I know the board, if you've been on the board for very long, you've heard this for many years, it's hard to find a district that's really a lot like us. And so that's kind of a liberal definition, but they were somewhat in the area of that. And you can see how we compare to that. I also added the 3-year increase this year because I thought that was interesting to see, particularly for us, the growth we've had in 3 years. Any questions for me?
What's the target graduation rate?
90%. Yes. Any other questions?
Much better.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I would like to see us gain as far as our ranking compared to other districts, but we're making good growth, and if we can continue making that, that'll be awesome. If you think of questions later, email me. I'm happy to answer those emails.
Thanks, Mr. Mays. Nika is going to present the health services report.
I promise mine's not going to be near as long.
That's too much.
I've got
Not that we
news.
don't do anything.
I've got news. That's the fastest he's ever done it.
I was kind of cattle prod behind me. I mean, listening. Anyway, okay. So I sent you my report through. Well, Carrie said she sent you a report, so I wanted to see if you had any questions about the report or the evaluation. I did want to add some stuff to it that I did not put in there.
I don't know if you've heard about the Big Smiles Dental Clinic. It's a mobile dental clinic that was formed. It was founded in 1997 by two mothers that were actually dentists. And it's a free service to schools. And our 5th and 6th grade center has been participating in that. All they ask for is a 15 by 15 space with 2 electrical outlets. They actually bring a whole mobile dentist into the school. They have a hygienist, a dentist, and x-ray technicians that actually do the work. The only thing that the nurses really have to do is send home permission slips that they provide for us. The parents bring those, send those back. They have to put their Medicaid number and all that on it because it is provided free of service to the schools, but I think they do bill Medicaid. But anyway, we had some really, really good things that came out of that. We had 96 students seen in the 5th and 6th grade center. 260 sealants were put on. 691 x-rays were done. 28 fillings and 1 extraction of a baby tooth. It wasn't a permanent tooth. And then we had 3 referrals that were needing a lot more extensive work than they could have done in the regular office. I thought that was pretty exciting news there. We had several students in 5th and 6th grade that had never seen a dentist, which is very sad. And you know, we talk about these scores, but I can tell you if these kids aren't physically and mentally healthy, they're not going to score well, no matter what we feed to them. I wish we could. And in our situations, you know, we have a lot of those kinds of issues. Their suggestion with the Big Smile was that they would get into the younger grade levels, and so we're really working on that hard to try to get that program. It's just finding the space and then getting those students involved. So I was really proud about that. The only thing that I would like to add is there's 3 really important people in our group that are not nurses that we really do appreciate, and I would like to thank them and acknowledge them. The first one is Dr. Kevin Blanton. I will tell you that he serves as our medical director. We don't pay him a dime. He lets us have his email address. We have his cell phone number. And I can tell you that each one of my nurses have it, and if there's a question that they don't know, he is so kind to let us text him and tell us right back. He is a world of help to us that I really want to say that he's a great asset to our community and to our school district. Trish Kiefer is the other one, and as you know, she is our school social worker. I can tell you we use her on a daily basis. I don't know what we would do without her. She is awesome, and our kids have really benefited from having her in our district. And the last one, and least of all, is Miss Linda Witt. And the Bulldog Pantry, I cannot tell you how our kids have benefited from this, how our community has given so much support. It can make me cry just on how much they have supported our children. Even at the high school level, we have gotten clothes for kids, we've gotten food for kids. They provided all the diabetic snacks for our kids in our school district that can't afford it. She's doing an awesome job. She said she would love to see any of you come by and see her. So I just wanted to thank those 3 people.
She told me today she was getting some sort of building.
A shed, they're
like a
donating
portable
a
building,
shed.
yeah.
I just can't even tell you how much we
No,
appreciate
it's just
it.
kind of taken off.
It's
It's
just
from like a
crazy.
small room now to a.
We have clothes, food,
And it will be air
supplies.
conditioned, everything. Who's donating it, Kim?
Bedell.
Yeah.
When did she say we get it? Is it next week?
We get it next week.
Yeah, she showed me some pictures of it today that they were doing.
It has a little loft in it,
Mhm.
and we can control it temperature-wise.
It's an awesome asset. Definitely. Any other questions? Told you I was gonna be short.
Thank you, Nika. I'm going to do this with the agenda because at 6 o'clock we've got possibly an executive session, okay? So I've got some folks here. I'm going to go with Shannon to clear up number 5. Then I've got some folks here that we need to utilize as far as making recommendations, going to require an action, if that's fine. Yep. Okay. So Shannon, I'm going to go ahead and go with you as far as parent-teacher conference report.
Yes, you have the report there in your B-Docs, and you can see that Southeast had 87%. They were down 2% from last year. Lee Hunter 88, down 2%. Matthews 93, down 3%. The BART program 79, down 11. Kindergarten 94%, down 1. Early childhood 97%, which is the exact as last year. 5th and 6th grade 90%. Up 1% from last year. Total elementary, We had 1,808 successful conferences, which was 90%. Junior high was next on the list at 86%, which was the exact same as last year. High school, 78%. We were up 11% at the high school. New Horizons and Alternative, 46%, down 5. Total at the secondary, 1,129 successful conferences. Even though you'll see some of those numbers that dropped from last year, 2,937 conferences were had with students' parents. And even though we are down, that is still a large number of face-to-face contact with students and their parents. So obviously, overall, we were at 85%. Any questions?
Thank you, Shannon. We'll go on down to requiring action, request permission to schedule executive session to discuss student matters and personnel matters at the conclusion of this meeting.
So do we need to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Mr. Tim?
Yes.
Mr. Becker? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lake? Mr. Leeson?
Yes.
Thank you. Approval of curriculum, English language arts.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mays?
I'm requesting our annual approval of ELA curriculum. I will say there are minimal changes in high school, junior high, and kindergarten. Grades 1 through 6 are unchanged from last year. I do want to inform the board that we've begun work on a major review of our ELA content, similar to what we did with math in the past. I've been meeting weekly with instructional coaches and some of our academic principals, reviewing our curriculum, comparing to the new state standards, and revising. And we've also had some teachers that have come to visit us as we necessary for input. During this process, we'll be having some vertical team meetings periodically to allow for feedback so that we can revise our curriculum. Hopefully next year, we should have an ELA curriculum put forward that will have, I don't want to say massive revisions, but at least more revisions than we've had the last couple of years, and we'll address the new standards and then some ideas we have for vertical alignment. But again, that's coming in the future. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and request approval of the work that we've done for the from the board for the ELA curriculum for this year.
Is there a second?
Clear.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we still teach spelling after
Yeah.
4th grade?
After 4th grade, yes, and we have spelling in 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. I believe we have it in junior high, but I don't think in high school.
Like, are we like having spelling tests and things like that? I mean, are we, that's what I mean by spelling, like, are we
Yes.
having weekly spelling in every classroom?
As far as I know, yes.
Sometimes.
No? Am I wrong?
Well, with the, okay, spelling is embedded in the Engage, and if those teachers who are using Engage, they're not doing spelling until it starts being a component.
So that hasn't been, it's coming.
Was it this week or next week?
It's got to be
It depends on where they start.
It depends on the grade. Like first grade, I think they start.
So the answer to that is no?
So they're having regular tests, but not necessarily weekly. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for being incorrect with that.
I can only answer what Luke has, Miss Barnes, and Miss Flake, and he has them.
He has,
Yeah, I think that probably is mostly 1st and 2nd
Yes.
grade, and there's been some individual buildings doing different things in 1st and 2nd. So would I be correct saying 3rd on, we have weekly spelling tests?
Yes.
I know we have.
I know there's some classes that aren't. That's the reason I'm asking is
Okay.
if that can be part of the ELA curriculum, or is it not? Are we not going to do that again? Because I know there's some classrooms that are not doing that. And I don't know, I just think it's a huge deal for us to have spelling. I mean, I'm not saying to tell teachers that they have to have spelling tests, but I mean, still have where you have a list of spelling words, and this is what you're supposed to learn, you know, you learn to spell those words. I mean, I know we're on iPads and stuff, and you can have spell check, but I just think it's very important, personally.
we're still doing.
To have spelling, I don't think every classroom is incorporating that.
It's not.
So I would
I
like,
think it's a teacher preference.
I would just
I will
like,
look into it and see.
if you're gonna redo the
As
curriculum.
part of the discussions we're having, we want that.
I would like to see that added, I mean, all the way up through, I can remember in high school, in Mr. Norton's class, having spelling every Friday.
Heather, we used to do it a lot with the vocabulary charts.
Yes.
And I think that that's kind of gone by the wayside, but we used to do that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's a good suggestion.
Yeah, Mr. Norton, he gave them,
Yeah.
was it, that's a junior.
Had junior paper and numbers.
You had 1 through 20,
Yeah.
and bonus afterward, and you learn to
Ms.
spell.
Mays, you'll go ahead and review that, and discuss that within your
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next item is a consideration of door locks bid, and Mike Brown is going to present that information.
Well, safety is one of the things we try to stay on top of as much as we possibly can. And I believe you were made aware of one of the weaknesses that we have just recently in our active shooter drill, where some of the classrooms still yet don't have the thumb latch, so that the teacher doesn't have to go searching for the keys. They can just reach out there and latch the door and lock it, if need be. So we still have about 110 of those throughout the district, and I got quotes that I've given to you guys there. Stewart still came in for the lowest price. There's also included the master key of the lock process, which is a big deal for us, so we can stay on top of that. With a bid of $18,211, that's my recommendation.
Is there okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Did you say this is for turn
Thumb
lock?
latch, they don't have to get their keys out, they can just reach over and grab it.
Like a deadbolt.
Heather, one thing that was really
It's not a
obvious,
deadbolt.
it was really obvious when we did
Oh, just a
the,
handle lock.
Just
the
a thumb.
intruder drills, the administration was in the 5th and 6th grade, we couldn't lock the door. Because there was a key that it was locked by a key outside, we didn't have a key, so we couldn't lock the door. And if a teacher did have a key, they'd have to go outside, you know, it's just a lot easier.
So we
Safety.
looked into like key cards, like the cards that they wear around their neck.
Yes, that's what we're doing on the exterior doors now, and of course, that's very expensive to go through after your entire building, but I'm sure that in the future, that's what we're going to do. Especially with the new buildings.
Well, that's what school is doing, and that's what we're doing on the exterior, which has been very helpful.
Any other discussion?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Ruda?
Yes.
Mr. Crumbaker?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Lake?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Reese? Yes.
Consideration of the junior high concrete bid. Mike, you're up again.
At the junior high, they've rearranged their dismissal to include going out the north side of the building and also the east side. And kids are having to walk just straight across the grass, even on when it's wet and muddy. And so we have some bids here to put sidewalks going out both directions. And I advertised, and no one responded to the ad, but I did solicit 3 contractors here in town. They also at the pre-bid meeting, but then only one of them turned in a bid, and that was BOE's concrete finishing. And that was a bid of $26,588. Also, their bid, when I talked with code enforcement, they requested that wouldn't be a problem with them to do what we're going to do, go out to the street with that. But they did request that in next year's budget, if possible, that we include the sidewalks on that north and east perimeter. And he told me that should have actually been done. The school's put in place there. But their bid was for $26,588. That was our recommendation.
So are these not for the north and the east?
No, these are strictly going out the door to the street. But that doesn't include the perimeter sidewalks that would go around.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I mean, that probably wouldn't even come back in something.
I bet so.
Don't doubt.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. Motion and second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Mike, how quick are they gonna try to do that?
He talked like he might be able to start even as soon as I call him tomorrow. As through this, so.
Before it gets too cold.
Hopefully they move faster than the guys on Main Street.
They're not doing Main Street, are they?
No.
No, not.
I've used these guys before, and they do
Yeah, I do. I know.
Maybe they could go help those guys out.
Next is the consideration of the high school concrete bid. Again, Mike.
At the stadium, we have no handicap access from the parking lot and the tennis courts going in, except for down on the lower level. So when we have graduation, everybody that comes in, it's a major ordeal to get them up there on that other level. They have to go up the grass to get up there. So what I proposed is that we go on the north, or the south side of the pavilion, that little hill rise there, and then follow that fence line that goes south to the north end of the bleachers, and then we would add a 20-foot section there where they could actually stage wheelchairs to sit there, and of course include railing all around that area. And also included in this is the existing retaining wall that's there does not have any railing on it now, and the code tells that is a requirement because of the height. So that includes core drilling, and then we'll come back in ourselves and the handrails. And it also includes demolition of those concrete piers that are left from our stadium lighting that we did. We were going to do that ourselves, but he told me he'd do it for $600.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be, the same deal with this. I advertised and only had the one response here. And the bid from them was $35,463, and that's my recommendation to Moise Concrete.
So maybe.
A motion, and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I guess I see the need for a handicap ramp, but are we gonna set them down by the end zone? Is that where we're gonna set the handicap?
We can go in and actually cut out staging areas of the bleachers, but for now, that was a quick fix, just to be honest with you.
I mean, that seems like a long way away. That's my only reservation about
It's gonna
this.
be right there on the end of that first set of bleachers you come to.
It's going to be in the end zone, right there
Yeah,
looking
it's
in
gonna
the
be
end
in the
zone.
But they still would have access to go on down to the center.
They
and
could
sit
still,
there, yes,
from there?
yes.
Okay.
But I just made that a spot, like graduation is one I was most concerned with, when we have the most amount of people that would possibly need a seat.
So if we have somebody that's handicapped, they can set other places. They're not gonna be required to sit
No.
right there.
Just anywhere they would like, but we're just trying to make
That's an option for
a
them.
specific
Okay.
accessibility.
Just like they have options right now in that lower section, there's a couple spaces on the north side and also the south side, down those lower bleachers.
Right.
If this is just for a one-time, if this is just for graduation and we already have handicap, a place where they can sit, isn't $35,000 a lot of money to spend just for that one time?
But part of it's the ramp.
I mean, I understand we would have to be part of it.
It's a huge problem, because we take Kevin's brother to games and things, and it's a
Mike,
huge
do we not have to
problem.
do it to be ADA compliant?
To be honest, I don't, we're required to have X amount of seating for handicap, and I would have to look that number up. I believe it's 5% of your total is what's required, but we don't have to do that. No, we're not anywhere near that. And we can change that, but we would have to take some of our seating out to be able to allow spaces for handicap seating. So I was just trying to accommodate that with this, because it
That lower
doesn't.
level, you'd have to take seating out, or where,
True.
where,
It's just the quickest, easiest way to accommodate it. You know, it doesn't give them access to every area, but, you know, it's just the best I can come up with. I looked at a
think you'd find more
different-
people coming, if we had more seating like that, I think you'd have more people coming too. 'cause I think it
Graduation
really
every year is a
limits-
really big deal. We have a lot of people that really struggle to get up to the stadium, because there's only like 8 spots up on the hill.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Next is consideration of election resolution for the election of the board members of April 4th, 2017. And as you know, the board must adopt this resolution prior to the April 2017 election. And notify everyone that we have 3 board members this year. that will be elected for three-year terms.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Lastly, under required action is that of the appointment of Bart Grant to the Education Foundation Board of Trustees. As you read, we did have Chad Crow, who resigned his position on the board. The Ed Foundation Board of Trustees has recommended Bart Grant to be appointed to that position and fill Chad's position. So it's my recommendation to go with Bart Grant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A second. Motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Before we go into this,
What about the statements?
oh, yes, Jim, thank you.
You're welcome.
We do need to go over those, don't we? Yes, we do. Let's get the cart before the horse. Future check, please.
Okay, we've got the,
Approval to pay bills for October 2016.
There is a Ferguson bill.
okay. Is there a motion to approve the bills? So, we got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
We're paying $4,000 to Midwest Gymnastics.
Yes, we are.
So are we paying for our cheerleaders to take gymnastics?
Remember that discussion we had a couple years ago? Because parents were having to.
Because it's a requirement.
Yes, so we went ahead and budgeted in the cheerleading budget in order to allow them, because we were requiring parents to pay for that out of their own pocket. Yeah.
Any
That's
other
a good
discussions? Any other questions? Discussions or questions? Seeing none.
Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Drury?
Yes.
Mr. Crumpler?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Ms. Wade?
Abstain.
Mr. Gleason?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, well, we're gonna go back then to informational. I guess we're on, watch.
Yeah,
For lack of better words. And let's go into the straw man proposal discussion. Everybody should have in your packet that the proposal, tax information, frequently asked questions, and also that of the survey. The latest survey, we really did not get a whole lot more than what we had last week. We're at 673 right now for a total. Still pretty good numbers. You can see there that on the number 2 item with the no tax increase, 88% are still in favor of that particular proposal. Now, the question I really have to the Board of Education is this: where do we go from here? Because we've had 2 town hall meetings. I think the meetings have been extremely successful. I think we've got a lot of tremendous feedback. We've got feedback and comments from also the survey itself. We need to have another meeting. When and what do we present during that time period for the meeting? I'll just tell you what I'm thinking, and then we can go from there. How about that?
Perfect.
I'm thinking that we need to have another meeting. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be in December, but I think in January, obviously. And I think if this is the way in which we want to go, then we need to have some type of plan to show our public. We need to have some type of conceptual drawing. We need to have some figures there so people can discuss and add feedback to that. I think also we need to start working more on phase 2 of what we're looking at and give a little bit more to our public as well. I do know this. I had a conversation with Scott Fleming this morning on the renovation of C building. He is going to be sending up engineers next week to look at the building and to really see what needs to be done. You get to a point where you go too far, then you run into things like you have to be in compliance with earthquake regulations and other things. So it's kind of like, do we renovate or do we rebuild? Or
That's going to address my main concern. That's my main concern.
Well, I think that's one thing, Deke, why I asked Scott to do this is, let's see what it's going to take to renovate or remodel this place. Compare that to what it's going to cost to build a new building.
Because I think from the things that I've heard too, that would be the one tweak that, maybe besides potential of putting switching the kindergarten, build, multi-purpose room above the rec field, but is that we might have to look at going to a small increase to get the building we need at C this time around. We might, that's just the concern that I have, that we need to get that done.
It does seem to be a common theme. Yeah.
The other thing I wonder with Scott is, I mean, the building that was designed for the last bond issue for C building was, I mean, a nice, very nice building. We had the roof line that reflected the band shell. I mean, is there a way to pare down that building
Oh, absolutely.
so that we can build that building, still have a very nice building, but not maybe as much aesthetics on the
Maybe we could
outside?
just have a building with classrooms in it. Maybe, I'm just throwing this out, so don't be a messenger, I guess. And just leave the library right there. And leave C building there, because one thing, and I was talking to Eddie about this too, we're gonna have to relocate C building fiber and technology if we move that. And what's that cost gonna be? I don't know. So, that's just a thought too.
Yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily have to tear that building down.
No, you could utilize that for a career ed center too, for adding programs to career ed.
We have that space where C building would fit.
But we would have to update it some, I mean, in its current state.
Yeah, it's not good for what it
If
is
it's,
now.
right, we don't want to just stick something else in there.
I think it's good to get Scott to do that. I think what we need to do, though, is we need to have another meeting in early December to roll out what?
December or January?
Well, December, because I think we ought to get conceptual ideas of saying, okay, here's what we are in the process of working on, because then that has to be delivered in January. So I think if there's going to be any further feedback, to try to do that in early December would make sense.
Rather than pushing it to January.
Don't you think we need to
Because
have
because if we go to January, we're not going to have time to really
Right.
Right.
revise anything.
We need to take our plan in December and then
And
say,
get
this is the
feedback.
feedback, because we have to vote on it January 8th. What's that second? Is it
Well,
the
you
8th?
have until, Ryan, help me with this, like 23rd?
Yeah,
it's like January.
We might have to have a special
So we
meeting
can-
the last half.
So we can do a special meeting.
Yeah, so you could have another meeting
Right.
to discuss the bond resolution,
Right.
second or third week in January if you want to.
Is it possible then, are you saying, so Scott's coming next week? Or his
Well,
guys?
his plan was to send his engineers up, like, part of this week or next week.
So next week's the week of the 14th through 19th. If they come, I mean, I'm just saying the work week.
Yes.
He's gonna come up, or somebody's gonna come that week. The following week is Thanksgiving.
Right.
We need to have a meeting in early December, but in that meeting, I think we need to know if it's possible to renovate C building or not.
I agree.
We need to know yes or no, we can do it.
And are you
And
saying?
if it's not possible, then
What's it gonna
we either
cost?
need to decide if we want to go for that now, or if we want to wait 2 years and just do an elementary center. I mean, I'm not advocating for either one, I'm just saying I think that's the decision that needs to be made. And it needs to be out there in December, so it's 100% transparent to everybody who's been involved in our process of listening to.
Will there be enough time between the time they're here and our December meeting to tell
See,
us?
that's what I know,
Well-
Deke. I don't know if there's gonna be enough time for him to get some actual numbers.
I think that we need to have our meeting when those numbers, I'm not even talking, surely they can tell us whether or not they can renovate it.
That's a yes or no
Well,
question.
That's a yes or no
they can renovate it, but I don't know what the cost. And kind of the rule of thumb, he's telling me, if it's gonna cost over half the amount that it would to build a new building, then you're better off not renovating it.
No doubt about it.
Mike,
So-
when we were looking at renovations back late 2000s or middle 2000s, was that done by an architect, or did you provide those
We
numbers?
just
or-
selected that ourselves.
Okay.
We did gather, I was trying to remember who, I had some help pulling some of those numbers in, but most of that included us doing all the work too, not all of it, a lot of it.
Well, and
And
I just don't think that's feasible.
Right.
Number one, you're not gonna have time to do it. Number two, the numbers are old. And
Guys, and that's just what we have to take into consideration
No,
when renovating this building. Where are you gonna put the kids?
over here, I guess.
But you know,
I don't know.
I would say this then,
Oh,
let's let him
no.
get up here, and then let him work through the process, and then let's schedule a meeting accordingly. I mean, if it gets too close to Christmas, it's really gonna be tough to have.
I can have
We
a better
certainly
idea
have
next
it.
week,
Yeah.
first next week.
And let's just play that by ear.
Relationship with him where I would think that at this point, he would make it a priority to do this for us.
We also have Lori work with whoever, or Jeffrey, or if you can do it yourself, figure out what we can generate with, if we had to build a $4 million building, would we need?
Well,
a nickel?
we figured 10 cents was gonna be about 4.5. 4.5, 5, correct?
Oh, so we would need 10 cents an hour.
You know, Tom, I feel like this is really rushed. I feel like we're rushing through this. I understand you want to get it on the April ballot, but I just feel like it's kind of like there's so many unsures, like we got to get this, we can say this, and I just feel like it's really, really rushed to have this magnitude, and put this before the community to get it on the April ballot.
Well, the problem we got
And
is
I know
in
it has to be
17.
done. I know it's 17, but we do have, you know, next year.
Well,
No, we
that
do
is,
not.
April is the only election in 17 where it's a 4/7 vote. Every other election in odd number of years, a 2/3 majority. That's the
And see
problem.
what happened too. I'll be flat out, that 21 cents is gonna go away.
That's the.
I mean, I understand, I know that the April ballot, it's the four,
It's the,
it's the
yeah.
57.14.
57%,
pass,
yeah.
and the other ones are 2/3. And I understand wanting to get it on the April ballot, but I also think that you want to be successful if you put something before the community, to have community support and enough people to pass it. I feel like, and I mean, I've heard different opinions from different people. I think there's some people that are just ready to pass it, anything, and they're going to vote for it, and that's great. And I think there's some people that are still, don't feel like they know enough about it. I don't know enough about it. I don't think we all know enough about it to say, you know, specifically this. I just feel like, I don't know, for some reason, I just feel like we're just really rushing, and there's some perception that people are not being, I know we've had 2 town hall meetings, but a lot of people weren't aware of the town hall meetings. And you can make the argument, well, you know, it was on Facebook, and I understand that too, but I just feel like we just need to be talking about this more at a longer process. And I know that we're cramped with different time constraints with April and August and November, and we have to have this done by 17 or the 21, we're gonna lose the 21 cents. But
Once we get the, I feel like
But you're gonna have
the
one,
hard
if
part
you
right
do
now is for
December,
us to decide about C building. I mean, I think we're all on the same page for the elementary school.
but I think that also you have to look at, for phase 1 to be successful, for it to happen the way we want, and to take Lee Hunter and move them to the brand new building, correct? Do away with Lee Hunter.
Yeah.
That's still up
I
for
think that's
debate
still
too.
there. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
that's the thing.
replace the
You know,
format.
Right,
Okay,
right,
we're gonna replace.
right.
So then you are banking on the fact that we're gonna pass an increase on phase 2 of some sort. And if that does not pass, then we're gonna be in a bind with our teachers, because you're gonna have one building that's gonna get a brand new building. And
Well, I don't,
But it's kind of the same
I don't know if that's
situation with the
true.
math and science building on the high school campus. You've got one group that has the math and science, The other group's got C building.
Yeah, but how do you decide which one is, which elementary?
Well, the community has kind of spoken loud and clear to me in those comments, saying, move Matthews out there, because it's in their backyard. That's kind of what I've gathered through the comments of the survey.
Well,
And I think people are saying, I mean, I think you've got different comments, some people are saying, if you're gonna do it, combine phase 1 and 2. But I don't feel like we have enough feedback on, well, if we do a phase 1 that is a no tax increase and it passes, do we have enough support to pass the tax increase?
Well, we'd have to have a crystal ball.
But I'm just saying, I think that that's going to be a problem, because really you are banking on phase 2 work.
well, I think the
In
idea,
a sort of way, you are.
that's right, but I think the idea is you gotta start small, because that's clearly what.
That's what we were told.
Yeah. So we've gotta do an incremental approach. I don't know if phase 2, I think the bigger question is phase 2 in 19, or is it in 20 or 21? In those cases, you're gonna have paid down more debt, so you're gonna have to borrow less, so maybe the increases. I think the timing is more
But you
a
also
thought
have people,
than the actual getting it done.
you also have people that said that they wanted to be more part of the process, and that's where I feel like we're kind of rushing it.
Well, but we've got all of November, December, and most of January to continue down that road. I just think that from the comments that I get of people saying, look, you guys have got to do something. If we don't get it on an April ballot, then we're not going to do anything until 2018. And I think that personally, based on what I hear, is a mistake not to do anything until 18, because then phase 2 is
Or why are you
21,
saying that?
22.
Because you don't
Because I don't
that-
think we want to go out and pass a bond issue in a 2/3 election next year.
Tom, the other thing I want to say to your point, I don't know that we can read so much into those comments about, and I think it's getting in the weeds when we try to figure out which school's going where, because I don't think we need to know that now. But if you had proposed just the opposite, you would have been getting the exact opposite comments.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, because whoever is getting left out of the new building's going to
I
put that
think
comment.
once you're heading down that road, I think then you've got to make an intelligent decision as to what the best way to do it.
That's right.
Can we say something?
What? I don't know if I'm out of line with
Yes,
this.
you are. You need to be addressed by the
Oh,
board.
my.
Sorry.
Kim, did you
Sorry.
have something that you'd like to say?
Thank you.
I looked at her and said, no. Why can't we, we're worried about phase 2 passing. Would it be too difficult to just leave Lee Hunter where we're at and build behind us and propose it that way so we could still be in our building, teaching, doing everything like normal, and build it behind us with all that room? Kind of like what we were going
That's
to
what
do.
we proposed last
And
time.
then, to me, it would be safer because your playground would be where the front of our school is at now, so your kids are going to be on that side anyhow.
Well, we got a lot of comments last time through that process about concern about building a building on the same site with construction going on and the kids there. I mean, that construction site is going to be really, really, really close to that building.
Yeah, they did that at Jackson, didn't they? Jackson Elementary? High school. the high
If you
school.
go back there and look, and what I recall from the last time we proposed that, it's gonna be right there. I mean, like,
Well,
As
it may
you-
not, may be a little smaller.
It may be.
this time.
because we were talking about a 650
Yeah.
student
Right.
building,
So the
now we're
building may be
talking about 450.
Yeah.
But, my thinking is if we did have to move to the old Matthews building, we're going smaller, you know what I'm saying? We're downsizing quite a bit
We've
there.
talked about that.
So why not leave us the size we are at Lee Hunter? There.
Yeah.
So
It's
understand what I'm
still
saying?
easier though to build one of the 2 schools on a brand new site.
She's not saying in phase 1, build it there.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
saying in
Yeah,
phase 2.
she said phase 2.
She's saying just for phase 1, build it let Matthews go. Then
Oh,
leave
I mean,
Lee Hunter where they
Oh,
are,
okay.
and then go ahead and build the new phase 2 back behind Lee Hunter. So they're still in their building, they don't ever move, as long as the Matthews kids.
And one
And
thing
then,
too,
then us moving would be a whole lot easier.
we have to
than
take into
just carrying
consideration,
Matthews.
we've got this safe room coming in.
That's the other thing.
And, you know, we made a decision on that. We may or may not get, I don't know. It's just, it's kind
Does
of,
that have to be in a new building,
well,
or can it be at,
it's designated now as the new building, okay? The project manager was not clear, and she didn't understand if you didn't get that, or you didn't put it there, if you could move it somewhere else.
and is there a time frame? Like if you get approved, what?
Yeah, you
January,
have,
some
yeah,
time
there's like
period?
2.5 years you have to put it up.
So if you got that, and you still wanted it at Lee Hunter,
Well,
would you would put it at the new?
But it was,
new site?
part of the plan right now is to put the new building. But we'd also, if we build a new building on Lee Hunter's side, if that's what we decide to do, we would also want a safe room there too.
So you'd have to apply again?
Well, we already have.
Oh, you
I think we
applied
can,
twice.
yeah, I think we can switch it around, if you know what I mean. We've already got it for Lee Hunter, Southeast, Matthews, and so on. I think we might be able,
Switch that to the
I
new
think we
one.
might be able to play that around.
Hey Tom, can we ask Scott Fleming to make a recommendation on the C building? And then maybe we just need to get all of us together at a special meeting, so that we can get our thoughts together about what we want to go forward with and set up that December date at that time.
I think that would be
I
a
think
good
even
idea
if you
everybody
did the
agreed
middle
with
of
that.
December, I think that gives him, you know, maybe if you say we need it
I
3
think
weeks,
that's what we ought to do.
3 weeks, and then we see what C building would cost us. If he could pare down the one that, because the other thing about that C building was it was a safe room.
I was gonna
as
say, it was a
well.
safe room.
It was a safe room.
Have you ever priced how much it would cost to renovate Lee Hunter?
If C building is renovable, Lee Hunter, sure.
Part of the problem.
I don't think you can
is just
fix
the
all the exterior
configuration
entrances.
of it, just the way it's laid out.
Well, and what.
And
we're-
plus also the infrastructure problems you have, the sewer problems
sewer
that
problems,
potentially
right,
we
sewer,
have.
right.
Wouldn't you have to put that back to code too, if you started doing
Yeah,
regulations?
you
which
would. See, that's the thing we're running into
Put
with
the
C
kids
building.
somewhere too.
I think we actually talked about that at the last, before the last bond issue, and that's what he said, it'd be way more expensive, because you have to bring everything up to code. We have that sewer pipe, I know Fort North every year, it's a luck and a prayer that we don't have a
I
clog.
still think we ought to gather that data, disclose more information about what we're doing in December.
You're talking about planning a board meeting, right? Or you're talking about planning a town hall meeting?
Either one, and they could be combined again like we did this one, quite frankly.
Let me,
The problem is, I don't know if he'll be done by the board meeting.
I think we just need to ask him to be done by the board.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I mean, we, and
The
tell him we really
Well,
need
the
to.
board meeting's not till the 13th,
Oh,
because of the way the month falls.
no.
Because we
Yeah,
have to.
so the board meeting's not till the middle of December anyway.
But we need to make our decision prior to that.
yeah,
We need the data.
that might be better.
We can certainly schedule a board member with gathering, board meeting with gathering further comments.
I'd just say, I will not feel comfortable if we don't do another town hall meeting in December
Yeah.
Yeah,
and January. I will not feel comfortable.
Well, then let's do this. Let's plan on one December 13th.
okay.
I think that's a
Okay.
good idea.
Okay?
Good.
Kim, did you have many people that toured the elementary facility when we had the town hall meeting there?
Not,
It needs
that
to-
didn't, that no one
I
asked.
want
Well, it was mostly
Yeah.
teachers.
My
and
teachers,
administrators.
And I know it has been, I just want overkill, so there's no excuse that you can say that you didn't hear us. We were having a town hall meeting. I want people to have the opportunity to come.
I don't,
Can we send
in the
flyers
paper?
with our-
Didn't we say
That's
that?
what we did.
I did. I put it in the paper twice, both of them.
Can we send flyers home with our school kids? Instead of mailing
I
them?
don't think you can.
I'm be a little,
Jill was asking me about that the other night. I said,
Yeah.
you can't because Nickel didn't get mad at us.
But that's not, we're just advertising
Yeah,
a meeting,
right,
just
right.
like you would library night, or
Right.
math night, right?
Yeah, so why can't it be just a town hall meeting?
We advertise,
together?
yeah, we advertise for math night, and
What do you think?
Like Aaron's love night.
But the main thing, the main topic of discussion is gonna be
Right.
the
Let
bond
me-
issue, right?
Before I answer that question, can I look at I've got Tom, I've sent him all the time, I've got a stack of.
Where are we
That's the
planning?
way to get everybody there.
Because
Put it in the right.
I would like to have it in Matthews.
it's not,
It's fine.
I would like to have the meeting in Matthews, so.
the only issue with that would be room.
Yeah.
Depending on attendance, because.
Well,
That
that time we had the curriculum meeting there, we had packed, I mean, we had 150 at least in there, don't you think? I mean, I think we could get
The
people.
way those seats were arranged, it really
Yeah.
wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people in there.
Because I think if we can do that, or send an email to parents.
There's a Sikeston game that night. There was a little basketball game on 13th.
Got it, Aaron?
I can check.
Just that could clearly hinder it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the other thing we can do is.
No,
I think we're off that.
no, wait a minute, that is,
That's
the week after.
SEMO conference tournament.
That's the week after.
I don't have it.
I got a schedule on my, Shannon.
SEMO conference
No,
tournament's over on the
We
9th.
have a wrestling meet at home that night, so we won't have basketball.
Oh, well then that's true.
No,
Oh,
we
well,
know.
that's right. You get
We
home
have wrestling
wrestling.
at home. That'd be my issue, because I'm gonna go watch.
Sure.
He's a senior, I'm not missing it.
Yeah, I will look at those.
Can we move it to Monday or Wednesday?
What I've done
board
in the
meeting?
past.
Well, for one, we have the auditor's report that month. So we have to have a work session, and we also have to have a board meeting where they'll come and present both times.
If you're trying to get people to come, Wednesday's not a good night.
No, that's a good point.
It's fine by me, I just,
And we'll be at
Kevin
Matthews,
just
so-
tells me when it is, I run over,
Oh,
watch
well.
the wrestle, and I run back.
Okay.
I'm gone
Well, that's
for
fine. I
15
just-
minutes, so.
So we're good for
Okay.
December 13th at 6:30.
I think that's a good
We'll have the
idea.
board meeting over there, do you think, or do you want to have,
No, I think we ought to have.
let's have the board meeting over
Yeah.
there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Change your weight.
It works a lot better.
So we can let Mike know on that as far as he can come over.
Okay. Are we gonna have this every meeting?
Yes, they're here.
Oh, they are?
The 6:30's here.
6:30's here? Okay.
6
Let's,
o'clock,
we
show.
have, why don't we take, because I can come back and finish up with that other stuff. Tell you what, do you mind if I finish it up real quick right now? Okay, and then we can take a look,
You can do these
break?
four.
Okay. Lastly, we have the communication update. I think you can see that information in there and see what Sarah had provided. And one thing that she did do is went to the fall conference and the Mosper conference. And I think she gained a lot of valuable information. Again, networked with a lot of people that have helped her as well. Moving into the student enrollment for as of November, we're at 3,334 students. We're down 26 students from last month. And I'm telling you that's concerning. We're down 9 students in the K through 6. We're down 19 in 7 through 12. Positive side is we're up 2 students in the alternative school. So that's where we are with our student enrollment. Student discipline data, that information is provided for you as we do every month, broken down by building, ISS, OSS, and you can take a look at that as well. Is there a question on that? Lastly then, we have board policy for consideration with local amendment, that's JG-R1. That adds in there the bit about the alcohol and the tobacco. That is in there for your consideration this month, so if you have questions on that, you can go ahead, we can talk about that during the board work session in December. But please look through that and see if that's clear to you. Okay?
Okay.
That's all I have, and if you want to go.
Okay, so we will, we need to do consent agenda real quick.
Yeah, I think we can.
We do have one? Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so consent agenda is the approval of special work session minutes of October 5th, work session October 11th, regular session October 11th, town hall meeting October 11th, ratification of the substitute teacher report, approval of board policies as proposed by MSBA, GD, JFCF, JFCG, JGR1, the sale of surplus property, the recycling, and the surplus property of the welding equipment. We take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Seeing
Oh,
none.
wait, I'm sorry, I'm zoned out, I'm sorry. This, substitute teacher report needs to be moved off. My cousin's on there.
We can do a roll.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, with a roll call vote, you can just abstain.
Motion to.
Good catch,
approve by roll
that's a
call.
bad one.
That's why I was looking really quick to see. Sorry, it's Kylie.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Tennant?
Yes.
Wait, what are we doing?
Consent agenda.
The consent
That's on
agenda.
there.
But
So
you
you
can
can
abstain.
You abstain.
Abstain from all.
Just like
Yeah,
you
abstain,
abstained.
and it'll get approved regardless, but you'll be
All
abstaining.
right, gotcha.
Mr. Crumpacker?
Yes.
Mr. Glenn?
Yes. Thank you. And we will
So moved.
adjourn, motion to adjourn, second. All in favor? All opposed? Yeah, thank you all very much.
I know, that's exactly what I was looking at.
Thanks
for helping me,
We have time.
I got
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It will be, you want